And today's meeting is for the statewide LTCT grantee meeting. I sent the PowerPoints and the handouts earlier this morning, but I'll go over them. And first of all, I'd like to thank IMESD and Chris for hosting us today at IMESD. And next year too, similar to this year, we're going to try to move the LTCT meetings around the state, not always in the Mid-Valley. And then yesterday, Carol Byron from LeGrand School District was very gracious. She hosted me yesterday, and I got to spend the afternoon with her, and it really was a strong reminder of how multitasking Carol is, you know, and how busy she was. You know, no, seriously, it was like she handles and she wears a lot of hats, dealing with outdoor school, dealing with bus transportation, and so forth. And then Julie Smith here at Pendleton was also talking about how things got added onto her plate this year. So it's really good for, you know, to be reminded of some of the things that we all do. And I know Chris here from IMC does a lot. Thank you, Chris. So if we could, so that we have a general understanding of who's out there, could it, besides Mark from Portland Public Schools, who else is out there joining us via phone?
Carolyn Acker with Cairo/North Bend School District.
Good morning, Susan Peck from Southern Oregon ESD.
Candace Cardiff from the Child Center at Springfield.
Brian Hinton from Douglas County ESD.
Jen Strasser from Polk Adolescent Day Treatment.
From Oregon Department of Education.
Barb Taylor from Douglas ESD.
Jean Orr with LBL ESD.
Sarah Davis with Multnomah Education Service District.
And via chat, we had the team from Forest Grove and the team from North Wasco School District. And CJ, I don't know if they told you, I'll be out at North Wasco after this morning, meeting at Norcor. Anyone else? Oh, okay, so someone just chatted saying that they're having difficulty with audio. Is anyone else having difficulty with audio?
Sam, this is Susan Peck. I wound up going through the phone because I wasn't getting the audio through the computer.
I'm with you. This is Sarah. I did the same thing.
Okay, thank you. I put in the chat that we're going to go via the phone, and others have said they're good, they can hear. Okay, great. So I'll give Lincoln County some time to get connected via phone. Great. Okay, so, and thank you for everyone for muting your phone, so we don't have noise background. So the agenda items, and then we have a new one. I added an agenda item, transportation for day treatment, because it's that time of year. We always get, around this time of year, I always get questions, I mean, seriously, every year about school districts having to transport day treatment kids during the summer. You know, and then they complain, why did they have to do it, and then so forth. So that, I've added that. So we did introductions. I'm going to talk about recordings on YouTube, ID applications and assurances, important dates for 1920, fate, responsibility, and SPR&I file reviews, 1917 monitoring, 2022 monitoring, contact and email list for contracts, transportation for day treatment, update on the application process for 21-23 and agenda items. Okay, so, and so I guess we're ready to go. Okay, great. So, for JDEP and for LTCT, when I've had statewide meetings, I've been recording and posting the recordings on YouTube video, but I kind of got scolded because my recordings were not accessible. You know, so that's why, so now my PowerPoints are going to be a little bit more wordy, and it's going to be so people can read it. And I'm going to speak loudly and clearly. So, yeah, and then rightfully so, because there was a person, you know, that couldn't, you know, and then there's people that listen, you know, and they couldn't hear and so forth. So it'll be a lot slower. So please bear with me, but then it's a good thing, you know, we have to do it. I should do it, you know. So my YouTube videos will be, and then my PowerPoints will be a lot more wordier so they could read. And yeah, and then once I post, it'll take me time to type everything and so forth. Yeah, and then that's my bad. I never had it accessible, so I need to. Next, IDA applications and assurances. At the last LTCT meeting, I gave everyone a heads up that there's a potential for IDA funding to be differently, you know, because what happened was in October of 2018, just like we monitor you, OSIP comes out to monitor us, and they said what we've been doing where when we take the LTCT funding out of, for the students out of the district's allocation, putting it into the contract, it's okay, but we never got permission to do it, you know, so that's why if the school district gives us permission, we will continue to take the LTCT funding out of the school district's allocation and funnel it through the LTCT contract. But my request, and this is my strong request, is if you were, it doesn't matter if the school district wants to keep it and you guys funnel it through your own, or if we take it and we funnel it through our contract. What I ask is for school districts with multiple sites to be all or nothing. And then for instance, in Pendleton, there's Lifeways and Homestead. If Pendleton says for Homestead, they want the IDA funds to come through the district, 611 Part B allocation, but for Lifeways, for OD to take it out and then run it through the contract with IMESD, it's going to be difficult for me to remember that and our financial spreadsheets and so forth. So it's either, if my request is either all through this district or all through the contract. And I'm going to show you what it looks like. Here's the boxes. Hold on. This is what the application looks like. So number 9. Oh, you guys see this? You guys don't see the thing. So NA. If you don't have an LTCT site in your boundaries, you click that. No would be status quo, you know, directly to the contract managed by department, or yes, you want the IDA funds for the LTCT sites in your school district to go through your district general allocation, and you will decide, you know, and then you will provide the SPED services. So for Mark at Portland Public Schools, Park Rose can either decide for your 2 sites, either no or yes. So you might want to have a conversation with them. And then same thing with for Southern Oregon ESD, and then one school district, they selected yes, but they actually wanted status quo, you know, and then I wish they put something in parentheses. No is status quo, B is a change, and so forth. So, and then no matter how well we phrase things, people will misread or not understand, and so forth. So that is number 9. Any questions about this? No question?
Sam, I had a question. This is Brian at Douglas ESD. I just sent you a message in chat, but basically I wanted to know, how would we know if any of our districts did decide to opt out and take the IDEA funds?
I would, they're all supposed to be due, June 17th. And once once that, I will take a look at the large spreadsheet, and I could follow up with the school districts. And I can follow up, and I can maybe when I follow up, and then I could CC you. And for Brian, for your situation, the application would be with Sutherland School District. They would make the decision.
Correct, and most of them already have. We've already had those conversations up front, and we should be good, but I was just curious how we would know. And if they did by mistake select the wrong thing, will they be able to reverse it?
I hope so. Yes. Yes, I hope so. And
Thanks.
the reason why I say I hope so is the ID applications is done by another unit within ODE. So yeah, I've been working with them, and then yes, I hope so. Yes. Any other questions? And I think, would it be, you guys want to see the spreadsheet on how it breaks out? No. Remember I showed you the
You
spreadsheet?
showed me yesterday, so yeah.
Okay, okay. Darn, it's like, I'm trying to escape. Okay, so I'll show the spreadsheet. So it looks like this. Like for instance, it's like it's a large spreadsheet. Has all the.
Just went blank.
We lost you.
Oh, you guys lost me. Darn.
You skipped too far.
Can you still see? Darn. What happened here? Can you see the screen, people? Phil? No, if you guys can see it, they can see it, yeah.
There it is.
Okay. Okay, great. Okay, so, so the way the spreadsheet looks, I think it's posted on the web. It has your gross award, your base award. It shows how much you would get without the regional, how much it would get with regional and OSD taken out. It would show how much you would get with OSD and LTC taken out.
That's still not it.
Oh, it's still not. Darn.
Well, you're just talking about the estimates, the IDEA estimate spreadsheet. Oh, I've seen that. Yep, I've seen that.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I've seen that. When they released the application, I was able to see that.
Okay, great. Okay. Darn.
There, if you put your spreadsheet up, do you have no? Back to the PowerPoint.
It looks like this.
Looks like a spreadsheet.
Yeah, it looks like a spreadsheet. Darn.
Perfect.
Sorry, everybody. I lost visual.
Let's do it.
There. Okay, so I guess I just have to stay with the PowerPoint presentation.
And I saw it yesterday, Sam.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay, so.
Hey, you've seen it. Okay.
Okay, good. Okay, so next. This is so weird.
Do you have a tech person? Yeah.
Actually, it's my computer.
Showing what it is.
There you go.
There it went.
Okay, there. Okay, next. Oh, I can't see my screen. Okay.
You must have two screens.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so next, here's the important dates for next year. I felt we needed to have perhaps more meetings. So next year, these are the dates scheduled for our LTCT meetings, and then especially for September 20. September 20, the main emphasis will be for new principals for LTCT contacts. So it's more for them. So, and then it was obvious and then the feedback that I got from the new people this year when we had it at St. Mary's was having an orientation LTCT meeting was helpful for the new people. And so, and below.
Hey Sam, this is Mark. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, question for you about the Title I CSPR reporting. I know you had said after this year's round that there was additional information you thought all of the programs needed to do a better job of reporting. Can you review what those? Can you review what those are? And I don't actually have your PowerPoint in front of me because I'm just on the phone. But does it have the CSPR Title I report date noted on your list of dates?
The list of dates are actually meeting dates, and the Title I date child count dates, the 6 dates where, like, you know how every fall I ask for the enrollment number of your Title I, of your sites, and then I tabulate statewide, and that's how we figure out which is the count. Because for child count for Title I is we get to select the date from January 1 to December 31st. So I always try to select the date with the highest enrollment. So I have on the PowerPoint the 6 dates, but the section in CSPR that we always not do so well is having data on kids once they left our facilities. Like after 90 days, how many of our kids earn credit? How many of the students enrolled in college? How many of them got career and stuff? You know that section of that part of the CSPR? That's the
yeah,
section.
because I have, well, like our secretaries are going to start working on, like, for the credit piece, like for this school year. I guess the question that's still out there for me is, like, for college or for career, how would we know? Because then we have some reasonable ways to contact receiving schools and find out, hey, did they get any credits after a few months with you? But for the other pieces, how do we do that?
It could be similar to how your SPED department does the post-school outcomes, where like you call kids after a year, or for Title I day, instead of a year, it would probably have to be after 90 days. You could call or send a letter, and then.
I mean, I guess the question is, because we've always been pretty mindful of sort of the confidentiality. You know, once they've left the treatment program that we serve, you know, we tend not to contact them after that. Is that okay to do? I mean, to contact, sort of go on the scavenger hunt of where they are and what they're doing, and when the way we had access to them initially was because they were in treatment, you know, sort of a medical referral. So I just want to make sure that I have, you know, something in writing from you that says, yeah, go track all this down, because if somebody comes back to me and says, like, why are you contacting these people when they're out of the treatment program you served? I just want to make sure, and I know it's in the Title I report, I just want to have something in writing from you that says, yeah, go get this information, as opposed to it's just me randomly out there looking for information. You know what I mean?
Right. And then you wouldn't be asking for a whole bunch of information such as, like, are you still in treatment? Are you taking your meds? You know, you could probably just ask those for the data elements of the CSPR. So, and to me, it's not too intrusive, you know, the CSPR. It's not asking for sensitive data and so forth. So most definitely, if you want, I could send you an email saying this is a requirement from the US DOE and so forth.
Yeah, if you would, that'd be helpful to me, because then I've got it if somebody asks, you know,
sure,
why are you doing this? Then I've got something really easy to refer to that's simple that I could just send them, as opposed to having to explain all of these different pieces that we're trying to manage.
Okay, will do. Yeah. Okay, so any other questions besides on the dates? Okay.
Do you have,
Oh, darn.
do you have sites picked out already, predetermined sites for the?
For next year? No, not yet. And then, most likely, and then I'm thinking, and then, well, I don't want to say, because I didn't approach them yet, you know. I normally try to approach them like a month or two before.
That's okay.
Yeah, just in case, things change.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah, kind of like how I did with you guys.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking perhaps the September would be like Salem, Portland area, and the November, February, May would be around the state. Yeah,
You don't want to be here in February and probably not November either.
and then I'm thinking most definitely one of the sites, perhaps like Southern Oregon, like either Klamath or the Medford, Josephine Jackson area and so forth.
Sure.
Yeah, so
Okay.
Because we haven't gone there, and perhaps a day in like the Deschutes area, like May and so forth. So I haven't approached them yet. So these are some, you know, some potential sites. And maybe February on the coast. I don't know. No, I'm serious.
Sure,
I
right,
yeah,
that's a good place to
yeah.
be. Not Eastern Oregon.
Okay, so our next item is, I get this a lot, and then it's becoming up, you know. So I just want to remind everybody, FATE resides with the school district where the facility resides. Even if the school district has asked another ESD or another school district to provide the LTC services, ultimately, FATE resides with the school district where the facility resides. I just want to be aware of that. And then now here's this is discussion. Who holds FATE for non-LTCT day treatment programs? For non-LTCT residential, it's obvious because, you know, the kids are living there, you know, so non-LTCT residential, it would still be the school district where the facility resides. But our statute says eligible day treatment, you know, so if it is ODE LTCT site, the school district where the facility resides, but for non-ODE LTCT day treatment sites, it'd be my opinion that FATE resides with the students where the students are living. For instance, if Lifeways here in Pendleton was not an LTCT site, and if they had kids from Milton Freewater, FATE would still reside with Milton Freewater because, you know, that is where the child lives. But because it is an ODE LTCT site, FATE resides with Pendleton.
Kind of like,
yeah, same thing with Rising Stars.
Yes.
But if you created your own day treatment site and not ODE, FATE, they would be, you know, paying for tuition, for education, and so forth. Any questions or discussion? Any differing thoughts?
Quiet.
It's kind of it's quiet out there.
Friday, May 17th.
Really, we're all about ready to
Our brains
go.
are fried.
Yeah.
Sam, so for non-ODE LTCT residential, it sounds to me like it's going back to district of origin.
No,
Is that right?
I think for non-residential, it'd be where the school district where the facility resides, because they're
living there.
They're living there. Like, you know,
Okay.
the DOJ has said where the kid puts their head on the pillow and so forth, that's the resident.
Hey, Sam, this is Mark. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Mark.
All right, so a question, and maybe I'm combining two things in my head, but so coming back to the IDEA funding, so let's say I have a student who is in Beaverton who goes to Edwards. So does Beaverton have the option of, like, can they keep any of the IDEA money if they want? And then if they want to keep the money, then is the FATE theirs? And this is specific to LTTC day treatment.
Yes. Yes, and in part, and Mark, you can't see the part of it on the ID application. It says yes, district management. Then enter into agreement. Like there's a letter A. Oh yeah, sorry. Every time I go someplace else, the screen goes off. under the box on the application, it says, elects to retain IDA fund allocations for the purpose of providing services to students who attend LTC sites within their boundaries. Will enter, or B, will enter into an agreement with LTCT contractors directly or have approved site plans on file.
Got it, okay. I think I'll call you.
Douglas County.
I'll call you after because I've got some more specific questions. So.
Sure.
Sam, this is Brian in Douglas County.
Hey, Brian.
Hey, so that goes back to my question about will we be notified or how will we know? Similar to that situation, you know, I have programs in Sutherland, South Umpqua, and Roseburg, but they serve the entire county. So if Elkton decided that they wanted to keep those funds, how would I know?
I would notify you.
Perfect, just what I wanted to hear.
Okay, all right, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, next. Now, there's going to be a change for the SPRNI system. Because FAPE resides with the school district, right now some ESDs are doing SPRNI, but they shouldn't be because FAPE doesn't reside with IMESD for Lifeways. So the two files for Lifeways will be on Pendleton's SPRNI roster. Okay. And it's 2 files per institution number. Okay. So for instance, for St. Mary's in Beaverton, the 2 files for St. Mary's will show up on Beaverton School District. And then for LBL, for Children's Farm Home and Old Mill and Wake Robin, the 6 files would show up on Corvallis School District's SPRNI roster, no longer LBLs, because FAPE resides with them. Now, data will not roll up. And then what I mean by data is we still haven't figured out a way for the LTCT data to roll up into the red light, green light, and yellow light of the district where the facility resides. Because the way we, our LTCT kids are coded, resident district, resident school is 3559, which is LTCT. You know, and then the attending district is education provider and LTCT institution. For instance, for at Lifeways, attending district is IMESD. You know, it is not, and then attending school is Lifeway. So the computer system has no way of knowing the kids at Lifeway data should roll up into Pendleton and so forth, and just like Homestead.
Yeah.
So that's why I write, and then because it's and then there's pluses and minuses of that, and some of the pluses and minuses are assessment data, that stuff goes to the LTCT district. Graduation, dropout goes to LTCT. It doesn't go towards your school district data. Just like at Rising Stars, you know, those kids. So on the SPRNI dashboard, like, you know, for B11, you know, B3, it does not include LTCT. And I don't have a solution, you know, because resident district, resident school is tied with the general overall OD consolidated ADM and so forth.
Right.
Yeah, so it'd be like asking the entire state, you know, to change their system for a small group, a segment of us. So
well, and for some sites that's more complicated than others. For, you know, IMESD and Pendleton, it's easy. We're in the same town. I can just pop over and say, hey, Chris, what's your dashboard look like? But for, you know, Southern ESD, South Coast, those are going to be difficult.
Right. So they will no longer have a dashboard. Right.
Okay.
Yeah, like IMEC, LTC.
Out of SPR.
So you're out of SPR. Yeah, that's what I just.
No, but
you don't get to play red light, green light anymore.
1 year.
No, but Julie, you could still ask them to do the fire reviews, you know, but then you could do it too.
Yeah,
it's up
I
to
could always say no.
Nice try.
Well,
just for that, Julie, I think you do it.
No, I mean, I think it's fitting pushing for whoever holds the FAPE obligation to do the file review, right? Because
it's their kid.
Because if there's something, FAPE isn't being delivered, then that's a conversation that Chris and I need to have about how do we deliver FAPE, because if there's a complaint, it's coming to me.
Right. And I've been at ODE doing YSEB, JDEP, and LTCT for the last 4 years. And I'm surprised in the last 11, 12 years, knock on wood, LTCT has not had an ID complaint, but YSEP and JDEP have. And then for YSEP, JDEP, it's very easy for YSEP, JDEP. They all have attorneys,
Yeah.
and all it takes is for like an attorney to ask the kid, how's your spend services going? Well, what? Yeah.
Right.
And then,
Even if they're getting them and they don't know they're getting them.
Right.
Right.
yeah, so they all have, they all have business patients.
They don't know what they're getting and not getting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously for YSEP, JDEP, it's a lot more prevalent, But for LTCT, I have not heard of a ID complaint or due process case. And knocking on wood for you guys. So, any questions about the S4NI for next year? So then for MESD, for Win Watts, you might want to give Reynolds a heads up, and Portland Park Rose a heads up and so forth.
Will do. Thanks, Sam.
Yeah. And Susan, you might want to give your Southern Oregon districts a heads up.
I want you to know I'm terribly disappointed that I won't be doing SPR&I for those districts now. Just so you know. Thank you, I surely will.
Okay.
Sam, I'm wondering if that could go out on the special ed directors.
That's a good idea.
It'll come on.
Yeah. So that would be good heads up even this year, just so when it pops up and those lights come on, that they're not surprised.
But it's too late for the special director's newsletter. It's already posted.
No, but they have a listserv.
Oh,
so on the listserv,
okay.
the message going out on listserv.
Regional.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
On the listserv. Okay, great. We'll do.
That's a great idea, Julie.
Yes, that's a great idea. Okay, next. Ever since I did that, I can't.
Yeah, the new ODE communications.
Oh yeah, you guys got all those.
It is nice. It's much more user friendly. It is more user friendly. I went in and signed up for all sorts of
Okay,
things.
you can probably do that, so.
And unsigned up for other things. I was like, I don't really need that.
Yeah. And how did you just went into the ODE website?
I just clicked that link that they sent.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's real user friendly.
Okay.
Sign up for what you want.
I'm afraid to click any links these days, so.
Right.
And did you know with the Go delivery, if you also wanted, you could also get emails from Secretary of State, PERS,
and OHA,
and so forth. You can sign up for a whole bunch of other listserv emails. Not that you guys.
Yeah, we need more.
Right.
Have enough.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so monitoring cycle, we're finishing up the 17-18. Remember, your site needs to contact Adam or Sam to schedule, and if you don't schedule, if we don't do it by June 30th, your 8th quarter payment will not be paid because that's part of our contracting. Now, this biennial, we allowed you guys to pick the dates, and then like last year, thankfully, some school districts did, like Hood River, North Bend, Forest Grove. They chose to do it in the first year, but a lot of other people selected this year, and then Adam and I are kind of getting bombarded. We might next biennial might do it. Might have Group A, Group B. It's just hard. Because and I'm getting pushback from our contracting people because federal law says we have to do site monitoring at least once every 3 years. But our contracting and DOJ is saying if we do it in year 3, potentially a contract period will go past without having monitoring or an evaluation. For instance, if you do it in 22, 1920, and then 1921, there's no monitoring and inspect, and then so they're pushing back on us where don't do it every 3 years, because federal law says 3 years, so you can't do it 4 years, but you can make it 2 years. You know, you can go.
So for the contract cycle, does that have to be 2 years, or could we, with this new system, could we move to a 3-year contract cycle?
We've always gone 2 years, and based on both ODE and based on contractors, because what happened was when YSEP went a couple years ago, YSEP did a 3-year. The business people got messed up because they themselves don't mix the IDA funding and the general funding, but by biennial.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because what happened?
Biennial funding cycle.
Yeah.
Biennial. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah, so that's why then, and mixing like multiple years of IDA, it was hard for everyone to track.
Convoluted.
Yeah,
All right.
So they said, if possibly, keep it at 2-year cycles and clearly, and that's why the CFDA numbers, they want it clearly, like your people and so forth. So yeah, so that's why we have 2-year contracts.
I want to real quick.
Sure.
For the monitoring stuff, everybody, yeah, we're not going to do the crazyville that we're doing this year. We are going to get onto a schedule because it's just been nuts trying to get everything pushed in and squeezed in and that kind of stuff. So I appreciate everyone that I've been working with that's been accommodating. And right now, everybody on my side, we are scheduled all the way up to the second week of June, but we've got everybody scheduled.
Yeah. And from my side, I'm leaving out, it's your responsibility to schedule it, schedule please. Now, if you look at the monitoring tool, we intentionally left out principle 2. It goes principle 1, it goes to 3, 4, and 5. It's always been, because when we developed our monitoring tool, we kept out the fiscal resources part because we felt you guys submit with your invoices the expenditure report. And at the end of the year, you submit also the federal expenditure report, which is a separate, so we felt that oversight was sufficient, but we might have to bring in principle 2 back into our monitoring tool. And the monitoring tool will be revised for 2022 because USDOE changed their monitoring protocols, so.
Of course.
And then, so we have to meet, our protocols need to mirror their protocols. So, so the monitoring for 2021, 22, and then as Adam said, next cycle, he will not only have to do LTCT, but he will also have to do YSEP, because YSEP also gets Title 1D Subpart 1. Yeah. Next, and I have to figure out a way to get budget narratives part of the service plan for LTCT. For right now, you guys don't do budget narratives, like for Title 1A or Title 1D Subpart 2, so we need to bring that in. So I'm working on a way to get that into the service plan for next year. Any thoughts, comments before I go on? Okay, next. Okay, so now, actually, this has changed. I'm going to put up a Google, well, actually, I'll probably have to do Google Doc. I'm going to put up a spreadsheet in Google Docs, and I'll email the link. They'll have 3 tabs, one for JDEP, one for YSEP, one for LTCT. If you could put the contact information of yourself, because some people change, and also there's going to be a special column asked by our contracting unit to put in which email address and who should the agreement be emailed to. Because last biennial, like for instance, let's say the agreement went to Carol, but Carol was not the person. It should have gone to like the superintendent, so there's going to be a column to ask who should the agreement be emailed to, and so forth. And in some school districts, it's not even the superintendent. It should go to the superintendent's assistant, executive assistant, and so forth. So every school district is different. So I'll create a Google Doc.
Yeah, it's either me or Michelle. We have to flip a coin. It's either the fiscal manager or me.
That's the way I do it too. It's either him or me.
You get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So things like that. So like and we found that's also one of the causes of delay, of getting it, and so forth. Next, Transportation, ORS 343961. 4 says, you know, when student receives treatment, and it's not just a year. And then part of the, I sent out the PDF of the executive numbered memo of House Bill 2501 for transportation for students in day treatment. I wish I could show it, but I don't want to mess with it. Yeah. It's there. Yeah, I know you guys got it. So, any questions on transportation? No?
I've never had an issue with transportation out of any other district. They're like, okay, we know it's our responsibility. So I guess I've been lucky that way.
Milk-free water.
Ah.
No, and I understand. I wouldn't say frustration, but I understand the angst of some school districts having to provide during the summer. You know, because during the summer you can't claim state school fund, transportation reimbursement, because there's no education happening. Yeah, so that's been a major rub on some school districts. Oh, now you guys can see it. Yeah.
Whatever you did, Sam, you did it.
Yeah. That's just how it rolls today. And here's the executive memo. Can people out there see the executive memo on screen? Yes, no?
I can see it.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, good. I'm getting a lot of response. Okay, so that's the executive memo. It's on ODE's website. There's a link. Now, the next, and then this is the monitoring tool. We talked about like how it shows principal 1, principal 2, principal 4, principal 5, like how they're numbered, but then it goes 1, but we just bypass, you know, number 2. So it might be there. We might have to put in number 2. Yeah.
And there's potential for folks who get monitored this spring to get monitored again next spring, because to divide it up between those 2 years. Is that
yeah?
Okay.
But it'd be too much easy.
Yeah.
The binder's already
set. Yeah.
Yeah, the binder's already created.
Okay.
Yeah. And so this is on screen. This is what the application looks like. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And then so far, so this is what the application looks like. As I said, no, and I wish they put in parentheses status quo. You know. Yes. You know. Basically, the school district is going to be responsible.
No means yes, yes means no.
Yeah.
Pretty much. That's what it looked like to me when I read it.
Okay, now for the application presentation. So, as you know, I've been going, I sent emails. I've been going around the state meeting with different stakeholders and different groups about our proposal for 21-23. And to be honest with you, pretty much it's been unanimous where everyone said it's a good idea to eliminate the Christie's list for 21-23, but the angst has been what's the selection process? You know, how are you going to prioritize A over B? You know, site A, site B, and then so forth. And what people wanted was to have input on how that would be determined and so forth. So I'm gonna, and then this is a living document, and then it was last updated after OJDDA's meeting on Wednesday. So it's a living document, and I said 517. So this is ours, and I'm just going to breeze right through it, you know, and then just breeze through the changes. So now I know I'm going to get pushback. So the paradigm shift. This is a new slide. It's the paradigm shift from just paying sites because you're on the list, or just because the site in existence or qualifies. We're going to start with limited resources. The paradigm shift is going to be prioritizing education programs quality over, you know, and so forth. Okay. Any thoughts, comments? Okay, so I gave everyone a brief history of why, and the proposal. Now, and then so as I met with people, these are some of the things that they said we should do. Most definitely academic achievement, ADM level versus slot utilization, attendance rate, number of contracts with state agencies, geographic isolation, and least restrictive environment determination for each individual student. For instance, let's say you have a residential program and 100% of those kids attend the LTCT site, but then what if 4 or 5 of those kids could be educated at your regular high school? You know, how is that, how is that determination being done? For day treatment, that's obvious. You know, they have to go through a screening process, to go there, and so forth. So how is the least restrictive environment determination being done? So this is going to be, that could be it,
Hey, Sam, this is Mark. Hey, for the academic achievement part, I know I sent you an email, but have you guys given consideration to academic achievement is kind of several data points as opposed to just one computer test? Yes. And then what I'm thinking too is, I talked with some other sites. There's apprehension of utilizing Let's Go Learn, that, and then I'm thinking of perhaps because our kids don't test well, and then we can use old scores, and then so academic achievement is, it has to be there, but then how, that is still needs to be determined. A lot of it still needs to be determined. But then I read your teacher's email and so forth, and it could. Did you get my email about using like number of credits, looking at teacher credentials, those kinds of things? Yes, and then yes, I did. And the thing about it, and I was explaining to Carol I was explaining to OJDDA, which is the juvenile director. It's like LTCT. It varies. I mean, like, we got elementary kids, so elementary sites versus high school sites that don't give credit.
Right.
Yeah. Like, right. So, like, if we say credit, the elementary, right.
Right.
And then we have some sites that hold kids for 2 years.
Right.
Some sites that their average length to stay is 11 days because they try to get the kids out of there as much as possible. So it's a balance has to be there for the academic achievement. And then, to be honest too, some sites, they have level 5 and level 4 kids, but some LTCT sites have level 3, but then in my opinion, I think all should be level 4 or 5, because I think a lot of school districts can handle the level 3 kids in their own.
We were talking about that yesterday, and
so
the top.
I guess
go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. So I guess the question I have in terms of the proposal, I know I know you came to Portland and met with all of our treatment providers as well as me and Serene. So is there going to be a group who like formalizes and finalizes what this looks like, or is the process you're going to meetings and then like you and Adam are going to finalize this, or who's the group that says this product is done, this is the application?
I think it would be OD internal. Yeah. But what's going to happen is, and then I have a slide for it, in June, there is going to be a statewide webinar where I'm going to preview the application for everybody. And that is on the SPED director's email list. And the reason why I'm not previewing the application now is just in case someone said, oh, the LTCT providers, they had a head start. It's going to be at the statewide webinar in June. And then I have a slide with the date and so forth. I think if you have the PowerPoint, it's also on the PowerPoint, the date. Yeah. So back to the PowerPoint. So others like the state. Here's something else that was just added. Letters of support. Like CCOs. Are they in favor of it? Do you have your county DHS on board, juvenile departments on board, and so forth. Like, if you think about it, a lot of grant applications, you also have to submit letters of support. So that was something new. And then this was done. This next bullet was by mental health providers. They said a section to show coordination between multiple sites of an agency with the ability to show the uniqueness of each program. And what they meant was there are certain sites, mental health providers that have multiple sites across multiple districts. So they want, like, for instance, let's say Trillium. Trillium is in Portland, Trillium is in Lane, it's in Benton, for a section to show, like, this is what Trillium offers holistically or globally. And then each application would be to show, like, how each site ties into their program. And just like Gobi is not only in La Grande, Gobi is all over the state, so forth. So that's where the section to serve coordinate that was asked, by, the mental health providers. And then the mental health providers, their group is the Alliance for Children's children programs.
Do you meet with them on a regular basis with the mental health providers?
Not on a regular basis, but if they ask me to, but I meet with them at least annually. And then
because I guess my question is, and Julie and Chris, maybe you could pipe in here. So every now and then I get a kid that's on private insurance, and Gobi, our CO, we call it EOCCO, they won't take the kid in day treatment because the kid's not on EOCCO because they don't bill. And I'm really struggling with kids on private insurance, and I don't get them often. But
it's a barrier to families,
yes.
and the State Advisory Council for Special Education actually just put that forward to the CCO arm of CSAC, the Children's State Advisory Committee, because it is a barrier for families. CCOs have barriers to families across programs and across regions, and then especially with those programs that only accept OHP. So we've, the state, at least on the special ed realm, is acutely aware of the barriers that families are facing getting kids into day treatment, because then districts have to then make an IEP placement and then assume the cost of the treatment program.
I've got one that's tutors in my office right now because he's got private insurance, but he really needs to be in day treatment. And so, Julie, I'll buy in on any of that you need me to, because that's been a real barrier
we put a letter forward as a state advisory council to CSAC, and then we've just resubmitted that to their CCO group that meets with CCO, because they're kind of looking at statewide, how do CCOs operate and how is their really truly coordinated care across our state.
Sure.
So we've submitted that same letter twice now. Saying, solve this problem.
I'll support that however we can do it, because in some ways, to me, that's a piece of discrimination. We can get some kids in, but not some kids. And sorry, you don't have the right piece of paper.
Well, essentially we're saying you have to be impoverished in order to receive these services. And that's not okay.
Right.
And that is discriminatory, absolutely.
That it feels discriminatory. Yeah. So, okay.
So these are, so on screen, this is like the Oregon Alliance of Children's Programs, and it shows these are the members and so forth.
Oh, thanks. That's great.
Yeah. So this is their, kind of like how education has COSA, and then so forth. This is their group.
So I'd like to, while Sam had that up, I'd like to throw something else out to the group. This is Carol from La Grande. The other thing we really struggle with is getting kids, of course, we're in Eastern Oregon. Our highest level of care for me, or in my district, is day treatment. And I was asking Sam yesterday, if I want a kid to go to a higher level of treatment, I'm always having to get crisis involved and mental health involved, and anybody and everybody in the area involved. And I'd like to know how everybody else is getting their kids a higher level of treatment, a bed somewhere.
Yeah.
And for us, it's very unfortunate because we have no beds, so to speak, and I'm putting that in quotes, in our region.
Yeah, Sam and I have had this very
Yeah.
conversation.
So I don't know, you guys, those of you down in the valley, how do we, you know, that's just been a real struggle for us, getting those kids in a higher level of care.
This is Brian from Douglas ESD.
Yeah, thanks.
Really, that is a mental health placement, so it has to be the mental health provider that is making the recommendation.
Yeah, but we're always fighting mental health for those kids to go out of Eastern Oregon to get a higher level of care. Now, we have sent them to Boise for 10 days, or Walla Walla, or, you know, once in a great while we'll get somebody down at Portland. I just had a kid come back out of Albertina Kerr who was there for 19 days, but that doesn't do us, that does not do the kid justice, or, you know, does not help us with services. So I'm just...
It's essentially short-term crisis care.
It's what it is. I had a kid stay in our local hospital for 8 days. Yeah. It's awful.
And I sympathize with that. Part of the problem is, and Sam can attest to this, is that a lot of those facilities have closed. We have less beds now than we've ever had.
Yes, yeah.
This is Martha from Tiger, but we definitely have that problem.
Oh, that's good to know. You guys in the bigger areas have that problem.
I would suspect
it's
that
lack of beds
across the state,
Yeah.
absolutely, because like he's saying, there's just less beds. Period.
Yeah.
Less beds and less people willing to assume the risk of providing that level of care, I think, and that also kind of goes back to the, you know, how was it, 15 years ago, the move to keep kids in their community is from the mental health community, which makes sense. I understand that. However, not all communities have the levels of care needed for all of the individuals that reside there. And so I think that's the piece that hasn't caught up with this move to keep kids in the lowest level of care and in their communities. We just need to have a continuum of care, at least regionally, that all kids can have access to when they need it.
And I don't know how to go about getting that in our area. You know, I don't know where to go with that. After I saw our little 10-year-old stay in a hospital room, and it was a room with a metal door. It was in the ER for 8 days. That was like the straw that broke the camel's back for me on trying to get services for kids.
As Brian said, when I started LTCT like 4 years ago, we had 47. Now we're down to 38. In Southern Oregon, Ashland, Lithia Springs, they closed. In Portland, Hand in Hand closed. Chehalis Family Youth Services closed. Metzger Heights closed. In Burns, Eastern Oregon Academy closed. There's been a lot of sites around the state that have closed, and also in Josephine, I think New Beginnings has closed, you know, and so forth. And then what I've seen is not opening quote facilities, but more group homes. You know, and then it makes sense because it's so expensive to do a facility. You know, it's easier to do group homes and so forth, and it's smaller. You know, therapeutic foster homes. I know some school districts really don't care when therapeutic foster homes open up in their district. You know.
Yeah. We know how that goes.
Yeah.
We need a lecture on how that goes.
Yes.
Is that the trend that you see continuing?
I see the trend of therapeutic not opening up large, like,
right.
Yeah, big ones. Yeah.
So,
and really, that's an OHA conversation.
And DHS.
It's not an DHS, right? That's OHA and DHS.
Where do I go with that?
It's not an ODE decision, right?
Oh, yeah, we just.
They have nothing to do with that.
Right.
But yet it's ODE served and district served kids that are kind of, there's a gap in service for.
Just like you have to serve whoever shows up. We have to serve wherever they're and so forth.
Well, what we get too, I mean, what's going on right now is we have a kid in Pendleton here who needs a higher level of care, who's creating major disruption to, you know, that environment, you know, because she's, you know, and it's like, okay, where do we go with that?
And when you say she, there aren't that many places for girls either.
I know.
That's the hard part.
That's the other thing,
Yeah,
you're right
it
on
makes
with
it
that,
even more-
Sam,
Yeah. So, I mean,
Yeah.
it just, it
Mine was
compounds the
girl, too.
issue,
Yeah.
you know, for the entire setting, especially, you know, we're a pretty small setting, you know, and so.
And what happens is they get sent back to school,
Right.
Yeah.
which is a lower level of care.
Right.
And then they end up on reduced day or tutoring or, you know, really restrictive placement.
Congratulations, public school districts,
Yeah.
you're
We're the only ones who don't
Yeah.
say no.
And I know of only one site that is residential girls that are moms with their kids. And that's Salvation Army. Right, Mark? That's your side, right? White Shield?
That's correct, yeah.
Yeah. They have, you know, because if you think about it, there are some females that need residential that are mothers.
Yes.
And then so the White Shield has a daycare right on their campus and stuff. And it's run by the Salvation Army. I was showing Carol yesterday.
Oh, wow.
So something that you didn't think about, like, you know.
Yeah. No, we just recently had a child placed in foster care who has a child, and they wanted transportation from an hour and a half away from us.
Yeah, yeah.
Can you imagine the liability?
For the mother and the child, yeah.
Yeah.
And I couldn't do it. I felt terrible.
Yeah.
Hey, this is
Okay,
Brian
so-
Wilson again.
Hey, Brian, we can hear you.
Okay. Hey, I just wanted to chime in real quick on the conversations folks were having about not being able to access because their students had private insurance. Your local CCOs have the ability to set rates as well as set aside funds to subsidize students in that situation. So that might be a conversation you need to have with them. Currently, school districts in our area do have to pay for students, but it's at a subsidized rate. I think it's $75 this year. Next year, it's going to go up to like $150 a day. But that shouldn't be a barrier to having students access. They really shouldn't just be taking OHP only.
Yeah, that's good. I think it is $250 for us.
And Brian, thank you for bringing that up. I forgot. Do you guys want Eli Sanders, our guy that does Medicaid billing for school? He sent out an IEP guidance. He sent it out last week. I mean, or like yesterday or the other day.
Yeah.
Do you guys want me to forward that to people?
Yes, please.
That'd be great,
Okay,
Sam.
We've tried to have them do OHP supplemental. We've tried to have them build private insurance, and it's kind of been a battle because we have GOBI as the CCO, and then Lifeways that holds the county mental health contract, and there's been some organizational changes that we hope will improve things, but we haven't been able to really make much headway with those conversations, and we've been having them.
Wow, I'd like to talk to you more about that, yeah.
So I'll send out Eli Sanders IEP guidance, you know, for to help claim Medicaid. Okay.
That just so we're a pilot project, LeGrand. This is LeGrand. We're a pilot project for the Medicaid. That has been a shift in paradigm, as our business manager tells me. For those of us who've been in special ed a long time and the way we're having to write those IEPs, it's really a change for folks on the way they're wanting that, so that in our case, TyNet talks to the Medicaid one, the Medicaid program, face that, and so they're needing us to write IEPs differently, and it's been I have a retired teacher who helps me with compliance, and he and I have both been doing this probably 35, 40 years, and it's a shift on how we're having to write those IEPs so that programs are talking to each other and to the Medicaid billing piece. So just a heads up on that.
And
Interesting to see if that pays off.
Yeah, it's so far for us, it has. And what we did is we pulled our 6 highest needs kids and only did those 6 kids. And so far it's starting to pay off. We feel like once we get all the kids online by we're hoping late in the fall next year to get every kid online, it'll really be worth it for us to do it. We hope. That's the plan anyway.
But the caveat, everybody, is I need to say, because ESDs are not considered LDAs, ESDs can't claim Medicaid.
Right.
I think that's, I just need to get it out there.
Yeah.
Just remind everybody. Next, some concerns that were brought up, and some of these are repeat, some of them are new, financial burden. And then the third bullet was brought up from the Washington County people, consideration for a tiered system for large facilities within school districts. For instance, if you have 39, or like let's say we have 50 applicants, if large sites meet the qualifications, they should automatically get funded over smaller sites because it'd be such a huge burden. Like for instance, like for homestead, like a threshold, like if you qualify, you meet other requirements. If you have 4 classrooms at one site, you automatically qualify, because otherwise 4 classrooms at a small district would be a tremendous burden on your general resources. Such as like Children's Farm Home would be a large burden on Corvallis. St. Mary's, which has 7 classrooms, would be a huge burden on Beaverton School District. 7 classrooms is like a small elementary school.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Having to fund a brand new would be an impact. So that was something that was brought up, that was not part of the screen, before. And then if a concern is if right now where day treatment sites are there, if they no longer become, then day treatment will have to figure out a way to get reimbursement for tuition from all those sites. Right now, we're paying for all, like right now for like Lifeways, we're paying education. If you're not an LTCT site, then how's the educational cost going to be recouped? Because PACE doesn't reside with Pendleton.
Right.
It resides with each site.
Where they live, yeah.
With where they live. So that's why this document is a living document. As I meet with people, I add bullets on, and then these are some of the things that they've said. And I talked about funding established versus new programs. And someone said, oh, what about the maintenance of effort? Like sometimes, like if you go back and forth, you're funded, you're not funded, and then MOE will go up and down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then so, well, yeah, that's, yeah. Yep. And then something, SDs might have to supplement ODE LTCT funding. Yeah. So on 9 a.m. Monday, June 24th, statewide webinar. Here's the link and information. That's when I'm going to preview the review the application process and preview the draft of the application. Yeah.
So that's the opportunity for everybody across the state to provide input and feedback.
Yeah.
Kind of the public comment period.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sam, will you send out an invite to that, including that link, please?
Okay. And I'm thinking, yeah, I can. Yeah, or I can put it in a separate email. And the reason why, because when I do the invite, when I do the invite, it's always, let's say the meeting starts at 9, but I always do this go-to meeting like at 8:45 or 8:30 to set it up and so forth. So I'll figure out a way. Yes, most definitely. Now, here are some licenses, and I don't know if I did this last time. As I go around the state, I take pictures of licenses, and then here, this site obviously doesn't meet the qualification because it's a homeless, runaway, or transitional living center. We fund day treatment or residential treatment. This site does not meet it, So here, obviously, this site meets it. It says day treatment, and so forth. And then this license, outpatient substance abuse, outpatient mental health. It doesn't qualify. we're not outpatient. Here, these guys got everything. They wanted to be, they want to be sure.
Everybody.
Yeah. So, and here, this is the letter from OHA saying, like, this site is certified for OHA, for the treatment for mental health. Here, it says residential, so they qualify. Oh, except for there. The problem with this one is, if you look at the date, it was 2015 to 17. They don't have an updated license. So we're probably going to, most definitely the application process, be looking for expired dates. And here, hopefully you guys can see, and I think I sent these out before.
Hey, Sam, for your meeting on the 24th, where are you going to be physically in terms of doing the webinar from?
I haven't thought about that. Because it's a webinar, it's not in person. I'll think about that. Yeah. And yeah, I'll think about that. That's a good question. It could even be my room, my bedroom. I don't know. It's a webinar. Yeah. So I don't know. I'll if people want to be in person, I guess we can make it an in-person option. But if we do make it in person, I think probably, yeah, I got to figure things out. Okay, so here, this is February, most definitely. This is DHS's list. I'll ask them for updated list, and here is OHA's list of mental health providers. And the thing about here is pretty interesting. In Douglas County, these addresses are schools. Right, Brian?
Yes, that's where the various TLC programs are located.
Yes. And also for, she just stepped out, Carol. They're also, these are her schools.
Would you prefer, Sam, that because we're looking at ADAPT, that it were ADAPT's main address listed?
No. I'm not saying that. What I'm showing this is so that to let everybody know there's a list for OHA and DHS of all the approved sites, and be sure that your sites are either on DHS's list or OHA's list. If they're not, then and the third list. The third list is OIA's residential directory. And here is definitely where Homestead is, because they're contracted, because our statute clearly states you have to have a contract with DHS, OHA, or OIA, and so forth. And here are like the OIA placements, Homestead, Janet's Youth, and so forth. Bob Loner actually is one of ours that's not. And also, there's county placements. Like I was talking with Washington County. They have Harkin House. It's within Hillsborough, but then they have county kids residential, and they have state OIA kids. So in Douglas County, it could be where Eric Fromdo and his group might partner up. They might apply too. So it varies. So yeah. So what I'm showing everybody is once the applications come in, there's 3 lists that I will review to be sure they're on either the OIA, the OHA, or the DHS list to be sure that they're eligible. Any questions? Any questions on anything?
Hey, Sam, so that list, again, I'm sorry, I apologize because I'm just on the phone. So is the list with all the different programs, is that available like either on the website or is it included in the documents for this meeting? Because the question being, Yeah, the question
But
I have
can't.
is if there's programs that currently are not long-term care and treatment, but then they want to apply. I mean, I guess that at some point, you know, PPS should probably contact them to see if they want to apply, and then we would apply together, correct?
Correct. Correct.
Okay.
If people want, I can send off 3 documents out, but I have, the caveat is the documents are point in time. The DHS list was in February, OHA's list was on April 3rd, and OIA's list was, I don't know when it was, but then they normally have a dated, they're all point in time because sites get added on and so forth. Oh, it says February 2018 on the bottom. So if people want, I can send out the Medicaid guidance with these 3 lists.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I like this residential thing.
Yeah. And then Carol, I was showing them the OHA list, and then here, like how your site is listed. I saw your site. Oh, here it is.
Yeah.
And then North Spruce and M Avenue, I said those are schools.
Right, right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so they got their day treatment approved, and then it's housed there. Yep. Okay, so any other questions? And like there's Olala in Toledo. Yeah, no, and I was telling someone I'm about to go to Toledo, and they said, "You're gonna go to Ohio? Why?" It's Toledo, you know, Oregon. It's right outside Newport. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, and then also in Terrebonne, this is actually on Terrebonne Community School. It's in Redmond. So some sites are on schools. You know, it's not just, you know, quote mental health facilities. So it's a variety. Yeah. Yeah. Any questions for the good of the order? Any other agenda items? None? Okay, thank you everybody, and I'm going to stop the recording now. Thank you everyone for taking time out of your busy schedule to participate. As always, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to give me a call. And if you want, I'm willing to come